Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at another one of my most requested weapons. Ever since the 1000 sub special where I said this was my favourite weapon in the game. The Grineer assault rifle, the Karak. Now the Karak was one of the first videos that I did when starting my Let's Mod series on YouTube, doing first looks at weapons. However, let's go back through some of the features of the weapon quickly. Firstly, you start with the highest damage per shot of any assault rifle, with a base damage of 26, with the majority, 12 of that, coming in the form of impact, 8 as puncture, and 6 as slash, which is fantastically balanced and makes the weapon pretty effective against all factions. The Karak also comes with pretty much no critical chance to talk of, with just 2.5% and a low end 150% damage multiplier even if you do crit. It also comes with a fairly low 7.5% status chance. Now, however, it does come with a pretty decent fire rate of 11.7 rounds per second and fantastic accuracy. That, even when combined with heavy caliber, means that the Karak is pretty much pinpoint accurate, even at longer distances. Now when you look at the weapon, it does have a few downsides to it. Firstly is its magazine size. At just 30 rounds, it's easily the smallest out of any of the assault rifles, and when you combine that with the reload speed of 2 seconds, it can seriously feel that you are spending the entire mission reloading, which can make the weapon feel clunky and unusable. This can be negated with the use of a mod like Primed Fast Hands, which makes the reload much faster, and makes the weapon feel much more responsive, at the cost of a mod slot. So while a downside to the weapon, it's also very easy to negate. And the small magazine size also causes problems with the weapon, since a very useful mod, Shred, cannot realistically be used on the Karak, purely because the extra fire rate on the weapon means that you have about 2 seconds of firing before the weapon needs to reload, which is a shame that you miss out on the dual stat mod there. However, like the reload issue, this can be rectified with the use of Metal Auger. However, much like the Fast Hands, this uses up a mod slot that could be used for something else. The lack of any real crit chance also lowers the effective damage of the weapon, since it's going to crit very rarely, and even when it does crit, it has a below average critical damage multiplier, which, while it does hurt the weapon a bit, it's not really enough to spoil the weapon at all. The lack of crit and the lack of effective status means that this weapon is very focused as well, since crit builds and status builds are not really viable on this weapon, really pushing it into having to go into a full elemental build. Now I know that this sounds like a lot of negatives and not a lot of things to redeem it, but as I'll explain later, this is one of my favourite weapons in the game. Okay, so let's move on to starting to mod the Karak. Now, we have got a V polarity on here as standard, but we're going to add another 6 polarities through Forma, so we're going to end up with 3 Vs and 4 dashes. Now, we've got a whole bunch of mods that are going to remain the same between all 3 of our builds. We've got Serration for damage, Split Chamber for multi-shot, we've got Heavy Caliber, which is going to further increase that damage at the loss of some of that accuracy. Now, because the accuracy on this weapon is so good, Heavy Caliber really isn't noticed very much at all. And we've also got Primed Fast Hands on here, which is going to help to reduce the reload on the weapon, make it feel very much more usable, especially when you're going to have to be reloading fairly often. Now this final mod here, we'll talk about a little bit now. The puncture damage on the weapon is already fairly good, so putting Piercing Caliber on here to boost that puncture damage really is actually a viable option. However, if you don't like the idea of using Piercing Caliber, you could switch that out for another elemental mod, so you got higher elemental with a little bit more status, since most of the builds you will need to use another status mod. Or, if you feel that you want the punch through, you could easily put Metal Auger in there, and then you've got the punch through on the weapon as well, and you've got the elemental combos on the weapon too. Now in terms of elemental combos, for the Corrosive Projection Void build and also against the Grineer, we're going to go with Cryo Rounds and Inflicted Clip to bring up the viral damage, and Hellfire for extra heat damage. And against the Corpus, Cryo Rounds and Stormbringer to bring up Magnetic, and Infected Clip to deal the toxin damage against the fleshy Corpus units. And for the normal Void and also against the Infested, Infected Clip and Stormbringer, which is going to bring up corrosive damage, and Hellfire for, again, extra heat damage. Okay, so on to my recommendation as to whether I think this weapon is worth the time, effort and resources invested to it. And absolutely yes I do. The Karak for the longest time was my go-to weapon for pretty much everything, and still remains one of my top 2 weapons in Warframe. I love the feel of the weapon, the awesome accuracy that you get even when you have a maxed out heavy caliber. The weapon also feels fantastic to use, and for the longest time I couldn't work out why it was such a favourite of mine. I mean, it's not a top weapon, it's not a Bolter Prime or a Soma Prime, but what I find that those two aren't is both that they are amazing fun to use, and also it's easily relatable. The name itself seems to be a reference to the modern day carbines and the infamous AK-74, and even when you look at the weapon itself, it's easily relatable with its iconic looks, paying homage to that infamous rifle. But it's more than just relatability. The weapon not only looks fantastic, feels fantastic, but it also sounds fantastic. In recent patches, Digital Extremes have been reworking some of the Grineer weapons, most notably the Grineer and the Karak. And the new sound of the Karak has instantly transformed it into what I find to be one of the best sounding weapons in the game. And while this is a small change, but when you look at the whole thing as a whole, it has the looks, the feel and the sound. It immediately became a fan favourite. However, never really got the publicity it deserved. As an upgrade to early weaponry in the game, it's easily one of the best to upgrade straight into from your MK1 Brattons or your Struns, especially since the weapon itself is decent without any former on it, and will only get stronger with time while you upgrade your mods and get to the point of putting former on it. Plus, the actual resources needed to be able to build it are very, very easy to get hold of, with it only needing 400 alloy plate, 900 salvage, 100 polymer bundle, and probably the hardest part, which is 2 neuros. But none of this is difficult to farm, and are not out of reach for newer players looking to upgrade. Now, would I recommend this as an immediate upgrade for players looking to get rid of the MK1 weapons? Absolutely yes I would. The low cost combined with that 0 mastery requirement, and the fact that it's only going to get better with time, I think it's an ideal weapon to upgrade into. However, if you feel that the 30 round magazine is something that's not going to be to your liking, then the Bratton would be a better substitute. But if you can work with it, it will pay off. So in essence, a weapon that's instantly recognisable. Great damage, great accuracy, great sound and great fun. The Karak is one of the most well-rounded weapons I've ever used in Warframe, and seriously deserves a second look if you skipped over it the first time. Now, just a quick little couple of things from me. Firstly, courtesy of Digital Extremes, I have another 75 Platinum code to give away. All you have to do to enter is post in the comments below with what weapon or frame you would like to see me review in the near future. Nice and easy, and I shall draw the winner and announce it in my video next Wednesday, the 4th of March. Thank you all so much for the 1500 subs. It's amazing to think that a few months ago I was making video for around 60 people that were subbed to me. So I'm over the moon that you seem to all be enjoying the content, and that motivates me so much to keep forming and to keep making videos. Thank you all a ton. Now, in addition to this, just a quick little PSA. It's looking likely that Update 16 will be around the middle of March, and since it's been a few months since Nova Prime now, I'll be expecting to see a new Prime Warframe appearing. So between now and then, I would recommend to start building up your Void Keys again if you can. I personally will be running a ton of Excavation and Spire 2.0 to rebuild mine, so if you wish to join me, just add me in game. I'm always up for playing something, and I shall accept, and then we shall run submissions. And as always guys, many thanks for watching. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe, it helps me out a ton, and I shall see you in the next episode.